Hey, what's up and how's it going, all in my beers? I am Mike McRock for the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm about to give you my review as well as the results of this week's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling. If there's one thing I really do enjoy about watching Impact Wrestling is that they always provide with really good action. And I like that they don't do the typical kickoff where someone comes out, they cut a 20-minute promo, someone interrupts and cuts them off, and they cut a promo, and you have the manager come out, which leads to a match between both guys. Too cliche, too predictable, right? So I love how TNA kicked off this show with a backstage brawl between Eric Young and Abyss. Even though this is something I've seen before in a recent episode of TNA, I like that, you want to get in with the action and you want to kick it off well to get people excited to watch the show, and they've done a really, really good job here. They made their way out to the ring and they're still going at it. And ultimately what happened was that they were using the chain, and the chain is a theme throughout this show because it's used later on. And what happened was that Abyss had the chain around Eric Young's neck, and Eric Young bit him, and then later on Abyss Black Hole slams Eric Young, and then he delivers more punishment. He puts Eric Young onto the ropes, uses the chain, wraps it around his neck, and yanks it back. So I really liked how both these guys sold this first segment on the show. It was very well done, and it was great action to provide. And like I said, you want to kick off your show with action, and they delivered. Also on the show, we saw Ethan Carter III go one-on-one with Bobby Lashley, and what happened I actually didn't mind this match at all. Just the way it ended was a little questionable, because what happened was that Ethan Carter gave a low blow. That I didn't mind. Ethan Carter's taking the cheap way out, and it really suits his character. And he was about to walk away until Willow, the Wisp, comes out and attacks Ethan Carter III. The match is thrown out the window, and he's about to hit something off the ladder to land on him, and he had the chair on his leg, but Ethan Carter rolled out. And the only little issue I have with the way this ended was that isn't the whole point of building up your younger talent not to make them look like crap, which they've done here with Ethan Carter? A little questionable, I think, in my opinion. So with that being said, I like that Bobby Lashley is back. I think he was doing a really good job in this match. When it comes to in-ring work, they mentioned that there's no ring rust, and there was none. And the only, like I said, questionable thing I had was a Willow coming out. It wasn't really necessary for him to do that, even though I did enjoy that little dialogue scene with MVP and Will later on. I thought that was pretty entertaining. That was pretty much all you needed, and for Willow to come out to end the match the way it did, I would just rather see Ethan Carter walk out and just keep walking and leave the count of victory to Bobby Lashley and let the rivalry between these guys continue. That I would have rather seen instead of Willow coming out and costing where Willow attacked Ethan Carter. I would have rather seen Ethan Carter just walk away, no interference from Willow. Moving on, we get to see Ethan Carter and Magnus backstage, and there's a little tension going on between the two of them, and this could lead up to a world title match. I don't think Ethan Carter is there just yet, but they're foreshadowing something that could develop a possible face turn for Ethan Carter. I'm predicting this now. I don't know if they're going to go forth with this just yet. I don't think they should. I think they should wait it out. Moving on, we get to see a promo. Gunner comes out, and he was basically talking to his father. He was talking about how he went to war, coming out victorious, and he was proud of serving his country and the fans. And without everyone, he wouldn't be here. And then he turns to his dad, who was sitting at ringside in the audience, and he would promise that one day he would be the world heavyweight champion. And they embrace in a hug, and then the shit disturber comes out, James Storm. And this is where it gets real good, folks. What happened was that he came out basically taking the credit for making Gunner who he is, and that he was talking about how his dad is proud of his son. And then he turns and does the heel thing and says he was referring to his grandpa, and that the father and that the grandfather died young when when Gunner's father was a kid, and he said that he's thanking God that he is glad that he's dead, and the fans just boo the heck out of him. And then he goes on to say how much Gunner is a disappointment, and then he just couldn't take it anymore. He attacks James Storm, and what happened was that Gunner, two of them going at it, Gunner, James Storm go at it until James Storm hits the super kick on him, and gets the handcuffs and handcuffs Gunner onto the ropes, starts beating him up, turns to his dad, and takes him out from the crowd and starts beating up on him. He was holding his head up, looking at Gunner and saying, "This is what I'm going to do to your son," and stuff like that, and "This is what I'm going to do to your old man," stuff like that, and just basically trashes him, takes up the beer bottle, and just hits his Gunner's father over the head. Now I know a lot of people are going, a lot of narrow-minded people, I should say, are going to go on and talk about, oh, this is a ripoff of Randy Orton and John Cena, with Cena's father being in the middle type of storyline. But you have to remember, the WWE is PG, and they're not going to go as far as hitting someone with a beer bottle over the head. And with that being said, the promo work between the two guys is really good, even though I think there's going to be a point in time where Gunner is going to has to come up with new material other than relying on the whole story about him being in the military, which he does get a lot of good babyface reaction because they are in the USA, and even when they go overseas and stuff like that, he still gets that reaction, that babyface reaction. But there's going to be a point in time in his career where he's going to have to talk a lot more and say a lot of different things in order to grow as a superstar. That's the bottom line. But with James Storm on this segment, he was gold throughout this. The way he delivered his lines was amazing. And the big beer bottle over the head was absolutely tremendous. That is how you gain heel heat. And overall, I think this segment on TNA was the segment of the show. Also, we saw Lady Tapa go one-on-one with Gail Kim. And going into this match, there was a stipulation added with Lady Tapa. If she lost, she would be no longer in TNA. I'm not really buying that because I just don't see TNA giving up on Lady Tapa. What happened was that Gail Kim won the match, and the way it was developed was actually quite good inside the ring. You had Lady Tapa dominating Gail Kim with a lot of interesting, cool power moves, and you had Gail Kim working the leg, trying to bring her down to her level. So it was a well-developed match, and what happened was that Gail Kim nailed her finisher and got the pin, and I'm like, well, what? Why? Why is TNA giving up on Lady Tapa? Oh, wait. I hope there's a storyline going on, because to me, they really shouldn't give up on Lady Tapa, because you want fresh, new faces to build up your Divas division. So I just can't see Lady Tapa not being on TNA and not doing things that would help the Divas division grow. So I think that they should go the storyline route of this and bring her back and put her with Gail in a stipulation match where if Gail Kim, if either one of them lost, they would lose. They would leave the company permanently. And I think, to me, if that were to happen, to me, Gail Kim really doesn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore, and she's at that point in her career where she doesn't need to win any more matches. And to give Lady Tapa that victory, that momentum to put her over, would make her uh, show that she's here to stay. And hopefully, if that happens, if the match happens, that she wins in dominant fashion. So I think that I'm not really buying the whole Lady Tapa being out from TNA. I think this is going to be a storyline to develop something later on, probably at the Sacrifice pay-per-view. Moving on, we get to see more divas. More knockouts. Geez, I'm reviewing the wrong show now. What happened was that Angelina Love came out, right? And she cut what I thought was actually a pretty good promo. I think Angelina, Velvet Sky, and Madison Rayne really stepped it up this week when it comes to their promo work. What happened was Angelina came out first. She talked about wanting Velvet Sky to give her space to make a decision on what she wants to do. And Velvet Sky comes out and she goes on about what happened with Chris Sabin, about Angelina Love, how she was being a mentor to her, a student of the game and stuff like that, and she'll never forget all the good things she'd done for her, but she still remembers the stuff that Angelina Love done as a heel. So she's kind of reminding the audience of what Angelina Love used to be, and about holding her back as well, holding Velvet Sky back and not be able to run as a singles competitor, which Velvet Sky had, which was short-lived, I think, in my opinion. But I think with this segment, they've done a really good job in delivering this type of promo for the knockouts. I was actually impressed with what they were doing with this entire segment. And at the end, Velvet Sky agreed with Angelina Love. The beautiful people are now back. And oh, but wait, there's one more thing. We're going to get Madison Rayne to be involved in the beautiful people again. Get the original three back. And she came out, and then Angelina Love was saying that she's back. Velvet Sky's back. Oh, and then there's Madison Rayne. She's talking down on her. And Madison Rayne comes back and says, "You've been talking down on me," etc., etc. And the way this ended was what you got with Velvet Sky and Angelina Love. The only difference is there's a better climatic ending to this segment, because Madison Rayne turned Angelina down. And you have to think that, okay, someone turns you down and they rejected you for a chance to get back together. Obviously something's going to happen, right? With the person that was rejected. And when I noticed when Madison Rayne came out, Angelina Love had that smirk on her face, and that was when I knew, yeah, Angelina's up to something. I knew it. And what happened? Well, Velvet Sky and Angelina Love had a backstage segment, and Velvet just basically told Angelina, "Hey, if you want to talk to Madison, you can talk to Madison off camera," stuff like that. It was all backstage. And what happened was that Angelina met Madison, and Angelina was talking about how it's always been every woman for themselves, and you have to watch your back for people that backstab you and stuff like that. And Madison Rain said, "Okay, I'll make my decision next week." And they're about to walk off, and then Angelina grabs Madison by the hair, slams her down, beats her up, yells at her, heel turn. I'm really interested to see where this is going to go. The only little nitpicky issue I have with that is a heel turn backstage. Wouldn't that be something you should do in the ring instead to get a better reaction? Because when you're doing it in the ring, there's a audience out there, and you want to get that boo reaction to the fans, right? So I'm a little iffy on that, but this could lead to something more. I don't think it's going to end with Angelina just turning heel, because remember, it was Velvet Sky that agreed with Angelina into bringing back the beautiful people, and the way she was acting just felt too good to be true. I'm wondering if Velvet Sky is the real architect into the whole idea of turning heel without telling you just yet. This is where my hamster is working inside my brain. I think, in my opinion, what they could have done here is let the heel turn for next week. But I see why they're doing it now, because next week you'll probably get that big surprise of Velvet Sky and Angelina Love are going to be a team, but Velvet Sky is going to turn on Madison Rain, because Madison Rain is the champion. The target is on her, and she's been billing herself as that babyface kind of knockout in the knockouts division. So when you have two heels going after a babyface, the babyface will get more reaction. The fan reaction, because there's going to be two people going after her. So this is where my head is with that whole deal with Angelina Love, Madison Rain, and Velvet Sky. And I will add this to it as well. It almost feels like the way this storyline is portrayed with these three knockouts, it kind of feels like a soap opera. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments about that, but it's just the way it feels overall. And then we get to see a triple threat tag team match between Tigre Uno and Sonata teaming up to face the Wolves and the Bromance for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. And this was like, holy crap, probably one of the really good wrestling matches that was on this show. This was actually a really good high-flying in-ring work, and I like that the Wolves really stepped it up here. They were doing a lot of tag team maneuvers that were just coming out of their pockets left, right, and center, so they've done a really good job here in this match. And Tigre Uno done a really good job as well, and the Bromans, well, they were just the Bromans. So, this whole concept of the whole triple threat thing was just okay. I mean, wouldn't you just rather see three guys in the ring go at it simultaneously, and you don't have to take out someone who's not your partner, and you're like, dude, why? So I actually didn't. I can take an exception with this, because this was actually a really good, solid tag team match with a lot of high flying and tag team maneuvers. This was great. And then the Bromance won the match, and it was like, my thoughts exactly, and I'll just leave it at that. Moving on now, we get to see Bully Ray. He was about to confront Dixie Carter inside the management room, and we all know Dixie Carter is gone from TNA. She's written off TNA, so I really don't see her making any appearances anymore on TV. So they're doing something really good here. What happened was that Bully Ray stormed in the office and was talking to the back of a chair. Now you would think that Bully Ray, before he started talking, would turn the chair around to see if anyone was there. TNA logic much? Okay. But overall, this segment was actually well set up because even though they kind of made Bully Ray look like stupid, it was still pretty enjoyable to see how this was set up to be. You have Bully Ray talking about how people just do not like Dixie Carter, people having no respect for Dixie Carter, and he walks up to turn the chair around, only to have Bobby Roode attack her from behind, and he takes the pay-per-view poster down and hits Bully Ray with it, and he's yelling at him and "you screwed with the wrong guy," stuff like that. And I actually don't mind where this is going because it was something Bully Ray said throughout that entire promo when he was talking to the back of a chair, and it was how people wanted to remember him by. He kept saying that a couple of times, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a pay-per-view event called Sacrifice coming up, where people put something on the line. Usually when it's a big match, they usually put their careers on the line, and I think they're foreshadowing, because Bully Ray mentioned that about people wanting to remember him by someone who's being good for the company, and just the way he said that to me almost feels like he wants to put his career on the line if he faces Bobby Roode at Sacrifice, and you can have Bully Ray written off that way. And I think it would be a good thing for him because we've just seen enough of him on TV. That's all I have to say about that. And then moving on to the final match of the show, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And the way this was set up was actually going pretty good. From the backstage brawl, Abyss taking out Eric Young. So originally Eric Young was supposed to be the guy that was going to be chained to Abyss. So we get to see Magnus talking to Joe backstage and saying that I'll be the one to be chained to Abyss. And I'm like, oh, I know where this is going, and I was right. Magnus versus Joe for the World Heavyweight Championship. I will say this, the in-ring work was actually not half bad. The diving elbow off the top rope, the way that was done was spot on. Just the in-ring work alone, I didn't mind. But there were a lot of things that were just plain bad about this match. For one, it was very predictable. You knew something was going to happen. Shenanigans were going to take place. You knew that someone was going to get out of those chains outside the ring and cause someone the match. So you knew that was going to happen. And the match overall really didn't feel like a World Heavyweight Championship match. It just felt like a jobber match. Samoa Joe got the jobber entrance. He was already in the ring, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a bad sign already. So to me, this never really felt like it was a world championship. It should have been a lot longer. It should have been developed a lot better. There was no element of surprise. Nothing special out of the ordinary really happened. It was just boring and predictable. It was bad booking on the part of TNA, and you make Magnus look weak again. I mean, for every title, he has a title defense. He just cannot win clean. And oh my god, why are you having Magnus as the champion? It just makes me wonder what TNA is doing. Just baffles my mind. So with that being said, this final match on TNA, hit and miss, not really all that great. And overall, this show was actually not half bad. Yes, it was not perfect, and that last match was an example of this show overall was not perfect. There were some just okay things, but there was that really good segment with Gunner and James Storm, And if I were to give a rating for this show, I would probably give it a 6 or 6.5, maybe not even close to a 7, but around that area. It was just an average show, I think, in my opinion. And if you saw it, what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below and let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button down below this video. You can follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show on Facebook. And on a final note, to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.